Welcome to Coffee with Behaviorists. Grab your coffee and join us. Hi everyone, welcome to our Coffee with the Behaviorists. With me today is David Michael Sanders. Okay, I
How you guys
honestly,
doing?
you see these goosebumps? I'm super excited of you being here today. And here's
Well, thank you for having me.
Senior Officers Moses, who is 14 years on the job. Wow. So
Yes, sir. Yes,
tell me a
sir.
little bit about you. What do you do? What do you do?
Me, I own Zen Canine. It's a boarding and training facility. We board and train dogs for all different, types of occasions and behavior problems. We do basic training. We do therapy dog training. We help people that want their dog to be emotional support animals to prepare
Awesome.
them for success. They want to fly them on the plane. We just try to help dogs be more adoptable. We do a lot of work with different rescues as well.
I love that.
It's very rewarding. It's very rewarding, but emotionally taxing at times because, some of them, you can't save them all. And it breaks my heart to see sometimes because there's just not enough families for the number of dogs that are out there.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like the
But we
fact
just do what we can and we love what we do.
I like the fact that you go into the rescue and have the ability to pull those dogs out of that environment and give them a new dedication, a new job. What is your superpower?
My superpower, I don't know what that is really. To me, I just have the ability to connect with dogs because I was adopted myself, and my first best friend was a dog. When I was 2.5 years old, I had a pit bull boxer mix, and he was big and tough and strong, and we were best friends. I used to sleep with them, and my grandma was into training. Joel Osteen was my first trainer. She had an old VHS tape of his stuff, and I learned a little bit from him, at that age, just sit down, stay, and exercising them if you want them to get tired and, all that kind of stuff. And then my parents rescued greyhounds. So I grew up with them rehabilitating damaged dogs coming from the track. So I got to see, emotionally damaged dogs and how they can be rehabilitated through, love, trust, affection, you know, and then it
I,
just kind of spawned from there.
that's so interesting. You know the story of Romulus and Remus, who was adopted by wolves in Rome, these two brothers.
No.
Yeah, so I don't go into long details, but Romulus and Remus were two brothers that were raised by wolves. And so Rome came out of that history. I also find so amazing that
Hmm.
you said that you were adopted, one thing, but your best friends were dogs. I see there's a deep connection and relationship of learning from somebody that is not your physical blood and being able to connect with
Absolutely.
different species in a completely different level. I so appreciate you for that, actually, for sharing it because people would just
Thank
not
you.
share it. So I also see that you've been through a traumatic experience through that, and you use that experience to help other animals, other species to get same things that you missed, like the solid base of a family structure. And so you have
Right.
been through that process, digested it, modified it, and adjusted it so people can learn from what you have been through and what dogs are going through, because people miss that part. Animals and dogs specifically are being removed from their families and being, it sounds weird, forceful adopted into other families. It's not their own free will, and I don't think a mother would give those puppies up for,
Yeah.
like, oh, come and take it, right, kind of thing. So we have to have that in mind when we're handling animals that have behavior issues, right? And if we want to teach them, and I see also many people say, well, you have to be your dog's boss and your dog's leader. What? How do you feel about that? Did you like having a leader telling you what to do while you were growing up?
I know, right? It makes me want to rebel all the more. I was always being told what I was doing wrong and never what I was doing right. But that's just the society we live in. It's a correctional based society. You look at prisons and military and the way that they treated slaves, and everything was force based, rule with an iron fist. Look at how
Yeah,
the government treats their own people. It's not a reward based thing. So it's almost going against the grain doing what we're trying to do. And a lot of people don't believe in it. There's this huge conflict between the positive reinforcement trainers and the compulsion based trainers. And then there's the force free trainers, which I don't quite understand fully, because I think keeping a dog on a leash is an element of force, whether it's on a harness or a gentle leader or what have you. So I'm not quite sure about that. But um, yeah, it's just important to understand the state of mind of the dog. How is this dog feeling about what I'm doing? Picking up on those subtle cues that you were doing in that video, which I was very impressed by. Your ability to pick up on those, you know, just subtle body language signals. But in that case, it was getting more severe. But in the very beginning, you can avoid a bite or a fight if you can pick up on those early warning signals. That tells me I need to back off and give them space. It's all
yeah,
about bonding and winning the dog's trust before you can even work with them. And it just blows my mind when I see trainers come in straight off the bat and just start correcting and spraying and shocking and all of that. Can you hear me okay, Roman?
yeah.
It looks like
I
you're
can hear
cutting
you.
out.
You're breaking up a little bit. Maybe your signal is weak, or sometimes,
I think I lost you.
Yeah, better now.
Can you hear me okay? I
Yeah,
think I lost you
I
there
can
for a
hear
second.
you, and you're getting coming in and out a little bit. Um, I know you're on the road, so we'll work with that.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here on the phone. I didn't think
So,
I'll do it a little bit
but
different
your message came
next
over
time
pretty
with the
good.
earphones. And yeah,
Your message came in clear.
better Wi-Fi.
I like your approach of try to get in tune with the animal needs, try to get into your residence with your.
Yeah, I'm just sitting in one place, so I'm parked. I'm not moving. You know.
Good. So our theme today, and one of the rescue people that usually join the group, um, supposed to be here on our show. So Catherin Phoenix Hallam, unfortunately, supposed to be with us, but there was an incident and she had to emergency help some other people out. So we're holding space for
Absolutely.
Catherin.
I'm not going to train, a Belgian.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay. Good. So our theme today is why dogs mark and soil in home and how to stop it. So first of all, I wanted to share with you that puppies, for example, 6 to 14 weeks, have more needs to go potty elimination, and then dogs 14 to 20 weeks have less needs to go elimination, like 6 to 10 times daily. So puppies 20 to 30 weeks, 4 to 6 times daily, and then after 30 weeks and older, dogs are down to 3 to 4 times daily. Now, if you look at nature, we see that dogs usually going for potty because they just need to. They drink water, they ate, the digestive system is very short as predators, and so we have to become aware when dogs soil in the house, there must be a reason for it, right? So what would be the reason? What do you think, David, would be the reason for dogs soiling in the house? Well, there's one, you get so much delay on it. Is it me or is it the system? So meanwhile, if you hear me,
some type of medical condition.
right?
But those were the primary reasons, I think. How about you?
Well, I put something together, and sorry if I'm coming in late with the feedback. I don't know what's happening here, but we deal with it. So
I thought I could be anywhere and do this. I didn't know I had to be by a router.
no, don't worry about it. So my idea about why dogs soiling in the house would be, and likely you have mentioned it before, I just didn't hear it, would
Did
be
you get that answer,
convenience.
Roman?
Actually, I didn't. Maybe you want to message me so I pull it up later, just in case. You can privately
Okay.
chat me while I'm sharing that.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I see here is convenience, accidents, confusion, a fear response, or conditioned behavior. What I saw. Maybe I missed something. So one thing that I also see is that when we look into convenience, is because we are late. We're not seeing the signals. The dog doesn't understand the difference between his clean space and the soiling space. Um, Puppies, when they are puppies, they just don't have the sense of urgency with their peeing. If the pressure is too high, they would just eliminate because the natural body response is what it does. The next thing that I see is that if we are not going and we're not offering the dog proper timing and proper support and proper education through these periods of going out in time, as we mentioned before, um, going through the proper times to go outside during the week, the dog will start having this convenience. It says, well, if nobody takes me out, they're going to pee right here because it's super convenient, right? And then we're going back to say, you know what, the other one is accidents. Well, the puppy knows how to do it, the puppy is aware of what's happening, and then all of a sudden, it feels like, oh man, I don't make it outside. Oh, I feel so good. And so accidents can happen, so we'll be very careful how we proceed with that. The other thing usually what I see is confusion. the dog gets confused what is considered clean and what is considered not clean. So puppies from puppyhood are not eliminating in their dens in the first couple of days of their life. The mother actually licks them and starts eliminating. So we see there is a behavior that is triggered by the mother, as the mother is being triggered by the puppy to be nurturing. And so if the mother doesn't lick the puppies don't eliminate because they don't have a sensory. That is because the puppy should be clean in his den and not soiling and not causing parasites. I'm not, of course, not saying you should lick your puppy's butt, right? However, I think we should become aware of that we have to encourage the puppy the first couple of weeks to eliminate. We can even use, a small paper and kind of clean them up a little bit and trigger that to eliminate. But also the confusion comes in if the puppy has never learned that I have to be in a clean space because they grew up in crates their whole lifetime. So they will eat and they will eliminate in the same place they sleep. And that's the confusion, and they're being adopted. And that causes another problem because they don't know what's clean and what's not clean. So the other thing that I see is a fear response, especially if a dog is being approached too harsh by people. And we have this fear elimination as a fear response, or hands approaching, or they're scared, which is a signal of death, considering where it's coming from. It's automatic fear response triggered by the sympathetic system because something triggered their mind. And so the other one would be just conditioned. We ignore the dogs, we ignore their needs, and then we just do what they do because nobody cares for them. So it's being conditioned that anyway I will not have access to outside, so I guess I'll limit it in that corner behind the desk under the table. But I also see that conditioned elimination in the house can happen because we are punishing our dogs and the dogs are avoiding us. So we're taking the dogs outside for potty. They're scared of us being there present. They hold it back. And then going back home. And once we're out of sight, they're out of fear. And they're going behind the desk or under the table. And voila, the present is here, right?
Right.
Oh my God, I have you in real time. Yay.
Is that better?
Oh my
Okay,
God.
I drove closer to a router. Sorry
Perfect.
about that.
Yeah, that's fine. So, um,
Okay.
go quickly a little bit about what you said before in bullet points. Maybe some people heard it. Maybe I wasn't the one that didn't hear it.
Sure. Okay, I was speaking primarily on marking, not so much not understanding where to go altogether, but as far as marking goes, it's primarily to establish territory or claiming resources, items. I've seen dogs pee in the water bowl because they want to mark it, let the other dogs know it's theirs. It could be if they're anxious or nervous, they're going to mark a little bit more, kind of like to reassure to themselves that this is still their territory. I've seen dogs that where their owners are thinking about giving them up because they're so tired of their behavior. They'll mark more when their owners are not pleased with what they've done, or if they leave, if the owners leave, they'll mark their bed. It's just kind of like a security thing to reassure to themselves
Right,
that
right.
this is their territory. And then we want to rule out all medical conditions, obviously, and make sure that the dog is healthy, doesn't have a UTI or, something going on with their bladder that inhibits their ability to hold it.
Yeah, I so agree with you, and thank you for pointing those out because we will have territorial fear and safety. Yeah, you know what? You actually covered exactly what I missed saying because for some reason I was thinking into pooping. But yeah, absolutely right. Marking is also part of it. I recognize with one of my dogs. We live in a full time in an RV. Don't get fooled by my back screen. That when we move, dogs get very stressed. I mean, their world is shaking,
Yes.
and they end up being in a different place, and so we have these fear issues. The safe place is missing, and so naturally response for the dog is to create this new safe place. So I
Mhm.
I agree with you saying territorial, and this is the common term that we use when dogs marking. But I feel we have to think a little bit of what if what we call territorial and it becomes so controlling, like dominant controlling, as very simple. It's it's a need to share your personal space. My personal space, my area that I have my food, my safety, my territory is I mark it so everybody knows I'm here. And we know from
Hmm.
wolf science perspective that wolves have very clear territories and they mark according to those territories, not to invade other dogs, other wolf sections. It's just to claim their area that they have enough food in that place. And there is
Yeah.
only 1% overlapping marking on their territory. So it's really just
Oh, okay.
1%. There's no claiming like we humans have, I want to take more of the neighbor's yard because he has better yard than I have. But it's reaching like, based on the needs. So we know also from observing dogs in free roaming areas like in India or
Hmm.
Malaysia, and these free roaming dogs, or streeties, what we call them, um, they do mark, but they don't have the marking territory. They would just mark, just informative, to share information between each other.
Just to
So I
let the
think
other
the
dogs
marking
know
is
they're there.
basically a source of information telling my intentions, which are the hormones added to that. In pooping, we have the glands that secrete also additional information to the poop, health
Hmm.
conditions, nutrition condition informations. What did I eat? What the range? What is my food that I'm hunting is in my poop. So
Yeah.
don't touch this. It's my kind of thing. Um, but also we see that I see my dogs. They're smelling a lot, and some of them lick it. So it's not about smelling information, it's actually perceiving information and tasting it. So one of my dogs will actually lick it. The females lick it a lot, and he salviates about it. So there's a lot of things going on. So when we see dogs eliminating in the house, we have the first thing to do is to find the root of it, understand why it's happening. Maybe we should look at the time factor. When did it start? Go back in time.
Right.
When was the first time my dog starting? Oh, we had a new furniture. Interesting. The new furniture invaded our space. This furniture should know that it's supposed not to be here, right? It's ours. So how do you think end up the dog peeing on that furniture or marking that furniture? He knows where he lives. His parents brought it the furniture. Why would he mark it?
I think that furniture doesn't have the pack scent on it. All the rest of the furniture in the house will have the smell of the house, and that doesn't. It has a completely fresh, no smell, or that just brand new smell. And dogs just feel the need to soil it, even if they don't necessarily pee on it. I mean, I've seen a lot of dogs rub the way cats do, just with their muzzle and their head and their
Yeah,
shoulder, and they just
glass
kind of
over the
rub
face.
themselves on it, just claiming it as a part of the, either as theirs or as a part of their pack or their environment.
Mhm.
What's your take on dogs that pee on top of each other? I had a couple of females
Sandwich
that
pee.
were fighting. Yes, and one would pee, and then the other one would pee on top of it, and then the other one would come back and pee on top of it, and it was this constant match. At least that was what I was observing. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I feel it's especially from females. I feel it's sexual related. They want to take the best information out there. I'm healthier. I deserve the better
Hmm.
mate. So I think that's
Ah,
a sexual behavior, hormonal driven. So if one female is in heat somewhere outdoors, they are triggered to claim the best, healthier, evolutionary option.
interesting. Okay, yeah, that was it because neither one of them were fixed. One was 14 and was getting some leakage, and then the younger one was actually in heat. So they both had, some hormones going on.
What would you do
But that
for
makes
dogs
sense.
who's marking proactively? Like we know we got a furniture, we got the new bed covers, or we got a new carpet. How would you condition? Because you're good at that. How do you condition the dog to not peeing on the carpet?
First, the most important thing is to show the dogs where they can mark. So you make a big reward out of going potty. Okay, let's go potty. Let's go pee on the mailbox or the tree or the bush or all of that. And then no marking in the house. I try to catch them in the act. Like if they're about to mark, I don't try to scare the bejesus out of them, but I'll just clap. Come on, let's go outside. And then immediately go to playful, uppy, happy game time outside, and let's go to the right place.
Okay.
I try to be as kind about it as possible, but I have to mark the specific action of marking inside so they understand that, okay, I'm not supposed to mark in here, but I can mark out there and everything's all great out there. So they always have a go-to. They always have an option for a reward and love and praise and all of that good stuff.
So you mentioned positive and negative markers. Give me a couple of
Yes.
negative markers and a couple of positive markers.
Okay. Like that. That's what I'll do for puppies, or ones that are incessant markers, or I'm trying to counter condition indoor marking behavior. But before I do that, it's always, let's go potty. Let's go potty. Yes, good boy, good girl. I just show them where they are supposed to go, and then I give them that type of tone. So I try to be clear with my tones and not overlap them to where they sound the same. And they get it, they understand. And then I also watch their body language when they're inside. If they start to look like they're sniffing, looking for a place, come on, let's go outside, let's go. I try to keep it a game 99% of the time, but I've not had success personally with just not doing anything when they mark. Like if how are they supposed to understand that they're not supposed to go inside if that specific behavior isn't marked
Right.
as an unwanted behavior? I'm not saying shock them or crank them or hit them or anything, but there has to be a marker, like even a whistle, just something to get their attention to be able to redirect them to that wanted behavior.
Interrupting that intentions to mark. I've seen with dogs,
Yes.
they have this intervention. If things are going not as planned, or things are happening out of the context of morals and ethics in that social group, the elder ones, the more educated ones, the one who have established their secure attachment towards the younger ones, like parents or adult brothers and siblings who know the rules, they have the ability to intervene through barking or physically cutting off the route. So we have this, we can call them displacement behaviors that are visible to everyone. It's like, what are you doing? I'm marking. And there is like, I feel discomfort of doing that. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Right.
that's continuing, then we have physical interruptions, eventually barking. It really doesn't happen with marking in particular, because dogs have this better understanding. It's not my business. Marking, peeing
That's
is
how they live. Yeah.
a personal business. And you see, if you watch dogs playing, even if they're rough housing, I need to go potty, I need to go potty. He stops, he goes potty and peeing. Everybody respects that. And then he
They
comes
let
back
them
to the
go.
game.
Yeah.
However, we see that there's a problem in our social society. So we want to make sure the way we interrupt the puppy is not aggressive,
Right.
is violent, and it doesn't cause the puppy trauma.
Right.
My parents were taking the dog's head and push it around the nose in the poop or in the pee,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
right?
grew up in the Midwest where chaining is common.
I did the same thing. I was like, my dad did it. I'll do it because that's what we do, right? And then I was like, you know what? This guy's coming back to me and schmooze with me, and I will have all this poo and pee in his face. I don't do that. And I was young back then. I didn't think so complex. But later on, I said, you know what? There must be a better way. Like if I would go to the bathroom, how would I feel if somebody yells and screams at me? I actually will pee myself. So that's
Yeah, it
kind of
gets worse.
right. So I said, well, if you see a dog peeing right that moment, interruption is good, and let him finish up outside without making a big drama of it. Because if you go
Hmm.
harsh about that, you will look like aggressive, and the puppy will be fearful of your presence. And then you go outside and
Yes.
he doesn't do that. And then you bring him back in and then he does it. And then you get frustrated because, the carpet and all this stuff and the replacement of the tiles, wood tiles. So we see there is a problem here. Now, I love your approach to create that safe spot. How do you condition that safe spot? How do you create
By
it?
taking them, by creating a daily routine. So like it depends on how old the puppy is, but between every 30 minutes to hour to 2 hours, we're going to the same spot. Put them on leash. Let's go potty. Let's go potty. You have to go outside. You have to go outside, and get them all jazzed up about going outside and going in the right place. And then when they do, they get love, praise, attention, treats if I got them, or play, or play tug with them, or throw the ball, or whatever it is, in relation to going in that right place.
Mhm.
But in the beginning, it's us doing the legwork by walking them to the spot, showing them where to go, because they don't know the difference. They just know what they're compelled to do in the moment.
Mhm. Well,
So
dogs
we've had a
dogs
lot of
learn
success
from
that way.
observation. I don't
Hmm.
want to say people like pee before your puppy so the puppy sees where you're peeing so the puppy will follow. You will have the neighbors up your
Hmm.
butt. But I feel like putting the dog on a leash and having this consistent routine, not making a big fuss of it, because some puppies get overwhelmed with environmental factors. Wild
Hmm.
outside, neighbor's dog is barking, you're making a big fuss of it, and the puppy is like, oh, I guess I don't should pee. Because if we come too too harsh about our conversation with our puppy, that could be considered a negative marker, right?
Ah, I see. Yeah. Well, if it's a submissive urination or fearful case, I won't add that much emotion.
Exactly.
I just try
So
to
it
get
depends
the
on the
dog
puppy.
confident and happy about going to the right spot. But
How do you feel
yeah,
about
that's
double poopers? Because I have a dog here, we're not saying any names, who is a double pooper. He's actually an ice cream pooper. He's pooping in circles on top of things, rocks, bushes, cactuses. He literally put his butt against the cactus, and the poop was literally stick on that cactus on the side. And I was there with my poop bag. I was like, we have a serious problem here.
my boy Bones used to do that, and to me, he was like an alpha type dog, so I just assumed it was marking territory. Just another form of marking. Because I've seen bears do that, and I would assume wolves do that too. Just to let the other dogs or animals know that they're present. That they're here,
I don't
kind of
remember which
thing.
animal basically sprays the poop all over the place.
Oh God, I don't know. Well, cats, tigers, elephants, I've seen do
Yeah,
that
elephants,
at
right?
the
The
zoo.
elephants. Oh no, you know what? The rhinoceros and I think the rhinoceros are those who actually poop and they spread it all over the place. What are
Ay,
they?
ay, ay. I don't know how they can live like that, but especially having sensitive noses with dogs, you'd think that it would be even worse for them. But I guess they
What do you
smell
do with
differently.
dogs who go and eat their poop?
That is an anomaly to me. I'm not sure. I've read multitudes of things, that there's some type of nutrient deficiency. It could be like an anxiety disorder, like a self-soothing thing where they like nervous drink, nervous eat.
Hmm.
I'm not quite sure. I haven't been able to really pinpoint that,
One
nor
thing that
have I had a lot of success stopping it.
I um, found out, and I talked with a couple of holistic veterinarians, is that likelihood that dog is eating poop are basically medical conditions, lack of nutrients, parasites, um, issues with the digestive tract because of vaccinosis over vaccination cause leaky guts, the system doesn't function well, and so
Hmm.
the dog has lack of nutrients. He reassembles his nutrients by taking them back in. And if he doesn't have enough poop nutrients, the other dog has poop nutrients, he's gonna go and pick it up them.
Is that the same with eating grass?
Yeah.
Because a lot of them
Eating
eat
grass is
grass.
substituting because of the fibers. However, because dogs have this ability, they are very body conscious. So they have this ability to send. You know how scent works. What is the quality of a scent of a dog? How many particles per billion can a dog send?
Right.
Okay, so it can send like 2 or 3 particles per billion, while my alarm system reacts on 3 particles per million. So he can smell one substance in a particular leaf in a particular plant, and he choose that as let's call it so pharmacology. He's self-medicating himself. And I've seen one of my
I
guys
see.
is going to sniff through the bushes and then chew on that particular leaf. I was like, he's not going to the next leaf next to it. He's going to walk a couple of steps further and sniff around and choose on that leaf. Monkeys do that too. They supplement by different toxins to kind of
Hmm.
heal themselves. So I think if my dog would eat poop, the first thing I would do is check in with a vet, check with a
Oh well, yeah, absolutely.
nutritionist, make sure the digestive system is good, upgrade the food, eventually look into supplements that heal the guts. That was my first route
Hmm.
to go. And then I will see if it's a conditioned, because I've seen one dog he was not eating poop, but I recognize he felt the need to clean up after himself because there was no other poop. He thought we shouldn't poop here. So he was eating it so it disappears.
Oh, because he was like scolded or something for
No,
going, or
cleaning up
just
regularly.
wanted
So
to.
he see me cleaning up. I make that assumption. And then I recognize that. And then I stopped cleaning up when he was outside. I finished up, then walked away. And when he walked away, then I cleaned it up. He actually wanted off of that. He stopped doing that. But I recognize that some dogs will watch you doing things in the garden and they go and do it as well. So from a dog's perspective, I make things disappear.
Mhm.
And so how can he make disappear? Eating it. Dogs naturally eat poop from their puppies. It's not something that is not in the brain. So there is a
Yeah.
predisposition genetically there. Cleaning
Hmm.
up after yourself.
Yeah.
And I think um, that could be a possibility. So if that's the happening, and you see your dog is doing that, and medical condition is good, and is not being raised in a farm, that could be a reason. I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
What I try to teach them is as soon as they're done going, they come to me for a reward. I just try to reinforce that recall. I get that recall really strong. So as soon as they poop, yes, good girl, puppy, puppy, and call them here as fast as I can.
Poop is
Sit,
gone.
stay, or direct them, crate them, whatever I got to do to pick it up, and then manage it that way.
So
That seems to be the most effective.
Robin Goins in Oregon has a question. What about the adult dog who lived in a breeding situation, was not potty trained? How often should we take them out?
An adult dog, I would start out. I would treat them as if they're puppies. You know, go all the way back to kindergarten. It's better to take them out more often than they need than less. So if you're doing it too much, that'll give you a gauge. It's best to write down for 7 days straight every time they pee and poop and what time of day it is as best you can. So that will give you, kind of like a little graph. You can gauge, okay, he pooped at 3 o'clock yesterday and the day before he pooped at 3:30. So let's go outside at, 2:45 or 3 o'clock. You try to be proactive about it, but it's
Right.
just creating a biological clock and showing him where to go,
Mhm.
using other dogs to help if possible.
I've
They
seen
help a
dogs
lot.
who have been spayed and neutered, and there was, as a young puppies, there were damage done during the surgery. It can happen sometimes. They're very small, you have to do all these, tiny things in their tiny bodies, and their nerves are damaged. Some animals eventually don't understand that they need to go to the bathroom, and so maybe
Oh, yeah,
they don't
right.
know. So we cannot just assume they do it on purpose or because they want to take over our family, kind of thing. Always check in with a vet. And if you think your dog has UTI, even if you don't think it, if you see your dog suddenly, even if he pees outside, all of a sudden he starts peeing in the house, take a Ziploc plate. I don't want to name any brand. Someone a small, flat um, container, and go to a place where he usually marks and place them around that area, and then bring him out for potty. He pees on it because it's new anyway, and so that would be great. So you can get a sample.
Ah, okay.
You close it, write with big letters your dog's name on it, and bring it to the vet. You don't need to bring your dog to the vet, really, not really. And of course, call your vet and tell him that's going to happen. Make sure you didn't have any sandwiches before that in the tupper, so you have to make it clean. You know, make sure it's clean. There's no contamination in it. And then clean it, seal it up, and bring it to the vet. Including if you bring the poop in your dog's poop to the vet, get a morning sample, and the veterinarian will have those containers, the sample containers. They're kind of like that size with a spatula in there. You take a sample of the poop. You don't need to smell it. Put it in there and close it. However, I feel I would take the whole poop back because if the dog has any parasites, they will not show up in that small spatula. Eventually, they will show up in the whole poop. So bring the morning poop back fresh, right straight to the vet, and let them do an exam and make sure that there is no health issues or any parasites attached to that. Um, and I like also when you're taking them out. Oops, we lost somebody. When you take them out, that we want to make sure we're not forcing the dogs to do that. And after puppies eat and after puppies drink water, and especially those dogs who come from those breeding situations, we want to make sure that, and I lost my run, that after a certain amount of water, they need to go to the bathroom. Puppies drink water, 3 minutes later, they need to go to the bathroom. So start doing that routine. Oh, we have David back again.
Hey, sorry I lost you. My phone was overheating. I'm having a
Gotcha.
heck of a time. I'll do it different next time. My apologies.
Where are you located?
I'm in my car right now because of all the dogs in the house. I thought that would be a distraction.
Great. So we have other questions. So I hope Robin got the answer. Um, let's answer. Who else do we have? Good. Robin says dogs and potty schedule change when they are in heat. Yes, they do more often. And I would take them out separately so they have time to eliminate and not being in competition with each other. So Vicky from Phoenix, here in Phoenix with my Great Dane and 14 weeks old, English Mastiff puppy, both rescues. The puppy just had her last puppy vaccination, so I'm eager to start socializing her. But with a virus, the normal sports and socialize aren't available. What should we do? Well, I think in this general question, I would say be very careful with your puppy going outside. Now, your puppy is 14 weeks old and she has a whole vaccinations. I would start already going social. You don't need to go to public places, especially in dog parks right now. Keep your routes private around the neighborhood. Try to introduce your puppy because obviously through these couple of weeks where this more important period of the puppy socialization was missed, you have to start slow a little bit. Don't expect too much because of your puppy is big. Doesn't mean his brain is super experienced. Um, so let the puppy smell. Take your time. Don't push it. Um, some puppies get very overwhelmed with outdoors. So what's going to happen next is the puppy will not eliminate and will not poop on the walk. And then you think my puppy doesn't need to and go back home because you need to leave for work. You put him in a crate and here we have a damage. So we can cause trauma if the puppy is not eliminating on his own and we push him in a crate because we need to leave. I canceled the appointment because my dog couldn't go to the bathroom. I know not many people can do that, but you know what? You have to have a backup plan to have somebody taking out your dog in an hour later because you couldn't take him out. Dogs are very clean species. They clean themselves. They want to have their bed cleaned. I have one of my dogs. If the bed is dirty for some reason because it chewed on a raw bone, he's going in, sniffs the floor, and is like, "I'm not going in there." And I recognize that he doesn't like it. He wants to have a clean space. So if I'm forcing the puppy to eliminate in a place where he considers safe, he has to go through a trauma experience to let go of that poop in a place that he considers clean, where usually also is water in there and always have water in the crate. And so we have to heal the puppy from that trauma in the crate. Because if we add one trauma and another one, then we have avoidance going in the crate and we cause other problems. And we eventually cause separation anxiety if we're not paying attention to that. What do you think?
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of the socialization aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking that there's this common conflict of interest. Veterinarians, they don't take your puppies out until they get all their shots, but that's the critical period of development when they need to be exposed to everything.
Right.
So one of the most common things, the common issues I get with puppies is they're scared of outside because they haven't been exposed at the right time. So I tried to come up with some type of common ground. How can we get these puppies out in a safe way? So I was mentoring at a service dog organization, and what they did was they brought the puppies out from 8 weeks old. They're bringing them out in satchels. They're carrying them, and they're bringing them out in strollers with little mesh zip bubbles that they're zipped in, but they can at least get exposed to all the different environments, sights and sounds and smells,
Mm-hmm.
meeting people, but definitely no dog parks or being on the ground or anything like that. What do you think? Is that safe to do?
Mm, I think my personal experience and kind of logical sense, I think the puppy is more dangerous to go in a vet clinic and get exposed to a virus than being on the street. That's my take.
Right.
So on the other side, I feel socialization is not only looking, is troubleshooting, is going through a thinking process. I'm at a garbage bin, it stares at me. What do I do with that? I'm going past a statue that is posted in the garden that looks at me and I'm scared about what do I do with that as a puppy? Puppy needs to learn how we feel in that period of time because the puppy cannot make decisions on his own. He needs feedback. So how is my response about that? Am I happy about that? What's my emotional feedback? Am I looking at one dimension, or I have to look at it from different perspectives? So I recognize it's actually not that what I thought it is. See, that was fun, right? Let's go with let's try it again. And so start learning emotional thresholds, not only physical thresholds, but emotional thresholds. When the dog responds, what should the dog do when he feels a certain way? Does the dog deal on his own or does he have a partner? And so when we look puppies in real life with their parents, the mother goes ahead and does things, simple things, simplified, and the puppy do that too. Mommy is semi-killing an animal, so the puppies have a deal with it. They're still moving a little bit, so they're like, ooh, the leg moved. They're like, yeah, what do you do if the leg moves? Oh, we have to attack it even more. Exactly. So we have this
Get it.
educational game going on. And so I think the socialization, no matter how old the dog is, should always come with a game. Dogs play games from puppies. They play games on adults, playing war games, King of the Hill games, hunting prey or predator games, because they learn the abilities. It's kind of us to kind of martial arts. We're having a game. I'm not being threatened by my life making a game with my partner. I feel good about getting that punch right in the right space. Like, oh man, you killed me! That's a good punch. It's kind of fun doing that, and I think we should keep that aspect always in mind because I see so many, and I think we should do a whole thing about service dog because many people cannot afford one, and they try to train one.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's a big thing.
yeah, I
You
see
know what?
that. I
I
get that
just
a lot.
bought that particular dog because he was so cute in the shelter, and now I want to make him a service dog by force. Man, it's not going that way. And we totally talk about that because I sure
I,
you have experience on that. I would love to have your take on that. So, does anybody have any
yeah,
questions?
it's
Let me remind people what we're doing here. Let me play that part. Welcome to Coffee with Behaviorists. Grab your coffee and join us. So, and I have with me David Michael Sanders. Yeah, right. You're jealous right now. And
oh,
actually,
I'm
we
honored
do
to be here.
have
Thank you, Roman.
and Catherin Phoenix from UK. She's a super behaviorist and a dog trainer. And I think her credentials are kind of like a toilet paper roll. You cannot just throw it down. I was like, I saw her
Just
credentials.
keep
I was like,
going.
wow. And she's with rescues and she does so much work in England. And I would really want her to have her on the show. Um, but, it was an emergency and we definitely get her next time. And we had so many responses today, which is actually awesome considering our morning coffee. So we have Vicky. I thought she got her answer today. And then we had Robin with with the two puppy situations from the breeding facility. Oh man, actually they're breeders' dogs. It's another story. Um,
Oh, it
I
breaks
do
my heart.
appreciate
You
breeders
know.
because what they do. And oh, here's another questions of Robin. What can I expect when my dogs get into heat? I just rescued them, haven't gotten them spayed yet. Any feedback, Robert? Um, David?
Oh, there are multiple females in heat at the same time. Okay.
They are
You
trying
know,
to
that's speaking
pair, bonded pair.
speaking in generalities. You know, emotions can run high. So I would have to know the dogs to make a solid determination on that. But the increased likelihood of squabbles could happen. You know, it depends on what's going on in the dynamic, how healthy these dogs are. You know, there's a lot of factors that come into play there. But, you know, as with hormones, it's going to be a more sensitive situation for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, I feel we have to recognize that we have a completely hormonal change going on with both females. And I don't like the term aggression, but the reactivity and threshold and emotional thresholds are very low. So the females will be more reactive to certain situations. They will be more territorial, more body aware of the situations. It's naturally to be competitive with a female in heat because they are competitive over their bodies and over the genes. Um, I feel the younger ones will more likely challenge the elder ones, but the elder ones are more experienced than the younger ones. So there's a whole dynamic, and I feel we should separate them, especially if we don't know their history well, we don't know their behavior history well. It will be the first heat, so keep them separate. They're going through an emotional stress, they're going through depression, they're going through an emotional change. They are not behaving differently. The children, they're going through the first experience, and I think we should keep that in mind that they are emotional beings, emotional intelligent beings, and their hormones are all over the place. We have factors as food, we have environmental factors that play a huge role how the dog feels emotionally about the situation. And especially if you have somebody who's competitive next to you and you feel vulnerable at that point, you can be more reactive about stuff and very on the edge. So I would definitely keep them separate, um, dedicate a little bit extra time, love, and care on those outings. So if you go just 10 minutes out, make it 20 minutes. Calmness, care, nurturing would be part of it. Dogs love to be cared for as long as they don't feel competitive. And I don't feel the dog feels competitive over his secure attachment relationship, which is a perfect way to calm the dog down and give him that safety. Um, Nutritional adjustments, definitely more often going to potty just because they have the secretion. Some females are very smelly, they have to clean themselves a lot. So you want to make sure that we support them with the cleaning. changing towels. Maybe have some towels that you can cook and boil after that. You want to take care of proactive. Don't have your most expensive pillows around. Make sure they have a nice safe area. Definitely gated area that the dog can be like safe and not mess up your carpet. So that was it. And actually, we are almost at the end. We have a couple of minutes left. Is there something you want to share, David, with our people here?
I mean, I think just for everybody out there who has dogs or who is thinking about getting dogs, focused on building the bond of trust and really getting to know your dog. What drives the dog, the ins and outs of the dog. Is it confident, fearful, happy, sad, competitive? Don't just think that it's just a one size fits all and you can just go in there and just make the dog do anything that you want to do. We've got personality factors, we've got instinctual breed characteristics that come into play, as well as past experiences that really make, the full dog. So once you understand that, then you can build on those building blocks, to really make a solid foundation. But if you're going in with, rushed intent or emotions, or it's just all about you and what you want, you're going to set yourself up for frustration, because it's a give and take. It's a two-way street. He's got to give you something, you have to give him something, and then there's this mutual understanding for for success.
Yeah, thank you so much, David. And yeah, I wanted just to share with you guys about David a little
Thank
bit.
you for having me.
Oh, this is zencanine.org, not .com. And just start saying yes to basic dog training and get that manual, right? So,
Oh, thank you, Roman.
so what
Thank you
else?
very much, sir.
And obedience. So we have his services. We can click on that. Where are they? Here they go. 20 years experience. It's not somebody. It's a very somebody. So behavior evaluation, private lessons, and where are you located, David?
We're in Chandler, Arizona, on 1.5 acres. We just moved to this facility about 2 years ago. I've got 1,000 square foot training room, another 1,000 square foot playroom for the dogs, and 3 fenced yards.
Mm-hmm. You know what?
Um,
I'm upset about that. I never met you in person, and I was in Phoenix for a couple of years, and I was upset about it. But you know what?
oh, I thought you were here now.
No, I'm not. I'm in Oregon.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. And I love the information that you have to share with people. I love your passion. Much respect
Oh,
to you,
I
sir.
appreciate you, man.
It keeps me in check sometimes because, as dog trainers, sometimes we get overwhelmed, and then time plays a factor and money plays a factor, and you forget about what's really important because you're only focused on, obviously, the client's satisfaction. So it's good to have other people that you can look to for advice and keep you in check about what you're doing and the decisions that you're making. So I commend you for that. Thank you very much, sir.
I appreciate you for that because I just feel as trainers and behaviorists, we have kind of like this fear of losing a client if we encourage or praise another trainer. And I have a hard time finding trainers who are in the same vibration, the same frequency, that coming from the same healthy perspective, that animals are not beasts that we have to kind of like make calm or break them. We are far behind for that. We're like 40,000 years living with those animals in a close family environment. They're not beasts. I think we learned more from them than they learned from us in that point. And definitely, I'll send you
Absolutely.
clients over because I have still lots of connection down there. I get lots of calls like, "Hey, Roman, I'm coming over." Like, no,
Oh, thank you, man. I'll make you proud.
yeah, definitely. I said, you know what? I told you, I saw your work, and I was like, I got goosebumps. Like, you know what? Damn it, at least now we have coffee. So,
Right, mine's almost to the end. That's when we know the show's
oh,
over.
thank you. So thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to have you next time as
Likewise, my friend.
host. Right?
Thank you very much, sir.
Make make
I didn't get that last part. What'd you say?
make room on your calendar next Saturday, same time. having coffee.
Oh, yeah, you got it, man. I'll be here for sure.
Okay.
You got it, brother. All
Talk
right,
to
you
you.
guys have a great week.
Welcome to Coffee with Behaviorists. Grab your coffee and join us. So thank you for watching again, and see you next Saturday.